On Tuesday, a federal judge issued an order blocking the state of Louisiana from displaying the Ten Commandments in public school classrooms. U.S. District Judge John DeGravels granted the plaintiff's request for a preliminary injunction, writing that the law, which forces all public K through 12 schools and colleges in the state to exhibit posters of the Ten Commandments, saying that it is, quote, facially unconstitutional. Each of the plaintiff's minor children would be forced, in every practical sense, through Louisiana's required attendance policy, to be a captive audience and to participate in a religious exercise, reading and considering a specific version of the Ten Commandments, one posted in every single classroom for the entire school year, regardless of the age of the student or subject matter of the course. So yeah, completely unconstitutional. And so that is the correct ruling. Look, if you want the Ten Commandments, go to church, hang it up in your house. Totally fine. But you're not going to force the schools specifically to hang it up so that everybody is supposed to look at it. They are, and this is funny because it's every accusation is a confession, right? They're literally trying to shove religion down children's throats. Okay, that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. And it's what they're accusing. You atheists, yeah, you trans LGBTQ people forcing that stuff down our kids' throats. Oh my God! While they're over there saying we should force our religion down your throat. Oh, great, yeah. Now this law, by the way, was signed by Republican Governor Jeff Landry, who had told parents who were concerned about religious indoctrination in schools. Well, that's okay. Just tell your kid not to look at them. Oh, well, that solves everything. Oh, God, I didn't realize that. Oh, okay. Oh, well, it's funny how people say that, but then they're the same ones to flip out when there's a Baphomet statue at the State House. Hey, what happened to don't look at it? Weird, right? So now that said, there were a lot of parents who took this to court, and they are the real heroes here, right? Because this was a group of different parents of different faiths that got together to fight for freedom, and I love it. Okay, this was a coalition of Jewish, Christian, Unitarian, Universalist, and non-religious people saying, hey, you want to indoctrinate our kids? Not on my watch. Quote, they are fighting for actual freedom. They argued that the law substantially interferes with and burdens their First Amendment right to raise their children with whatever religious doctrine they want. And that's true. Stephen Green, a professor of law history and religious studies at Willamette University in Oregon, testified against the law during this federal court hearing, arguing that the Ten Commandments are not at the core of the U.S. government and its founding, and if anything, the founding fathers believed in the separation of church and state. Why is that? It's because they saw the problems inherent in a theocracy, which includes the death of free thought. All right? You can't really have a free society if you don't have free thought. Religion, forced religion, kind of kills that. All right? Look, when you think about it, in human history, we're not at all that far removed from the times that people were literally burnt at the stake for saying things, controversial things that challenged the church, like, the earth revolving around the sun, which, again, we proved that that's true. Okay? But no, church doctrine said before, earth was the center of the universe and that everything revolved around it, which, again, not true. Or, we're not that far removed from the times of rule by divine right. Okay, which conveniently for the ruler and the ruling family couldn't be challenged. Are you going to challenge God? Because God says I'm supposed to rule. He told me earlier when you weren't listening, and only I can talk to him. You see, right? Okay, sure. Now that said, the U.S. Constitution, in setting up a secular country, the founding fathers, and enshrining freedom of religion, that's why it's still one of the best documents in the world. All right, it's not perfect, of course, but That's why there are amendments. You can change it, you can adjust it to the times and things like that. But that said, unfortunately, members of the religious far right do not want freedom. Okay, they want control. They want everyone to follow their religion, and that's what this is about. Okay, so this entire thing was about is trying to indoctrinate the next generation into their particular religion. That said, this is a setback for them, and as such, there's a bit of celebration, well earned. In fact, this ruling, this is Heather Weaver, a senior staff attorney for the ACLU's program on freedom of religion and belief. The statement said, this ruling should serve as a reality check for Louisiana lawmakers who want to use public schools to convert children to their preferred brand of Christianity. Public schools are not Sunday schools, and today's decision ensures that our clients' classrooms will remain spaces where all students, regardless of their faith, feel welcomed. All right. The Reverend Darcy Roque, who's a plaintiff in the case, along with her husband, Adrian Van Young, said in a statement that she was relieved by the judge's order, adding, "We expect our religion to receive their secular education in public school and their religious education at home and within our faith communities, not from government officials." Understand that that's what the far right wants. All right. The religious far right wants, no. We don't want you to get your religious education at church or from your church leaders. We want the government to do it. Why would you want the government to do it, to mandate it, to force it? Real strange, right? If anything, if I were a religious person, I wouldn't want government anywhere near my religion, anywhere near it. And yet you've got a group of people that are like, no, we're gonna get the government in on this. That's insane. No, nothing good can happen from that. Okay, nothing good could come from that. That said, of course, the fight is not over. Louisiana Attorney General Liz Murrill promised to immediately appeal this decision, saying, "We strongly disagree with the court." And at a news conference, she added, "This law, I believe, is constitutional, and we've illustrated it in numerous ways that the law is constitutional." Repeating it doesn't make it true. Just saying. We've shown that in our briefs by creating a number of posters. Posters in our briefs. Gotcha. Again, you don't have to like the posters. The point is you can make posters that comply with the Constitution. But not if you're making the posters and then forcing them to be put in public schools. Now, in August, Merrill and Landry presented examples on how a poster of the Ten Commandments could be designed and hung up in classrooms for educational purposes. The displays included historical context for the commandments that the state believes makes the law constitutional. Here's the thing, though. It's still not. Okay. For example, in his ruling, the judge stated this: "The question is not whether the biblical laws can ever be put on a poster. The issue is whether, as a matter of law, there is any constitutional way to display the Ten Commandments in accordance with the minimum requirements of the act. The court finds that there is not." There is no reason to hang up the Ten Commandments in the classroom. There is no educational value in just hanging up the Ten Commandments, even with historical context. Why? Because at the end of the day, the historical context doesn't matter because it's not part of our government. All right. You are still, unless you're teaching a comparative religion class or a religion specific or a class about specifically Christianity, right? It still doesn't make sense, though, to have it on a poster hanging up on the wall. I'm sorry. It just doesn't. That's not what it's there for. It's not supposed to be a teaching material, right? It is supposed to be saying, essentially, that these are the laws God put down and you must follow them. That is the school endorsing a particular religious point of view. Okay? Now, the other thing that they said, well, to say that it would be constitutional, saying, well, there's no public money that would be used to print these posters. No, they would all be supplied through private donors. These probably very deep-pocketed private donors, religious groups, etc., billionaires, would be able to donate to this, but that still does not make it constitutional, because one of the questions here that remained is what happens if you're an educator that refuses to put this up on the wall. Remember, it's a law that mandates that the posters be put up. Since it's a law, if you're breaking it by not doing that, which is essentially forcing a teacher to put up a religious display in the classroom, what happens to them? What happens if you break it? There has to be some sort of punishment involved, or else it wouldn't be a law. Now, would it? There have to be some sort of way to get you to follow the law, which would be consequences if you break it. You lose your license, it's a fine. And once again, you get to the thorny question of, this is the government, a government official, now endorsing a specific religion, or being forced to endorse a specific religion. Okay? Which is clearly, again, unconstitutional. That said, the state is waiting to take the case to the Supreme Court. Even though this is a setback now, if it goes to the Supreme Court, there is a good possibility, a likely chance, that the Supreme Court will end up ruling on the side of Louisiana. Why? It's clearly unconstitutional, right? Well, look at the court we have. All right. Ideologues. All right. The current makeup of the court, almost in my mind, and maybe it's because I'm just, it's so incredibly black-pilled and jaded at this point. But I don't see them upholding precedent, because remember, the same court that overturned 40 years of precedent when it came to Roe. And so I don't trust them at all. Remember, the last time this went to the Supreme Court, you had a 5-4 decision in a case of Kentucky trying to do the same thing, right? They ended up losing. But in this case, I don't see the Supreme Court going that way. I see the Supreme Court getting rid of that precedent. Precedent be damned. No one cares about it. And we're going to help out our we're going to help out these religious groups in indoctrinating the youth. And so that's what I'm very, very concerned with in the future. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that maybe I'm just, seeing the worst outcome because of what happened in the election, because of what how the court is looking, and maybe I'm just thinking like worst case scenario. I don't know. I hope I'm wrong. But for now, though, it's not going to the Supreme Court. So, I would take this as a win for right now, because at this moment, we need all the wins that we can get. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.